Hello everyone and welcome back. In today's episode we are going to learn how to play Meow Meow Dice, and also we are going to see what I think about this game. But before we start, let's give a big thank you to Playte Games who sent a review copy very kindly to me, and so now we can share together how this played and my thoughts. And if you find this gaming that you're gonna like it, don't forget to check their website down in the description below, and so you can purchase it as well. And now let's go to the table, let's see how we play it, and then we'll come back and see what my thoughts are. In Meow Meow Dice, players take the role of a battler who wants to teach tricks to their own cats. So in the way you do it is by assigning to each player one of the cats. You see here you have the lovely custom dice, screen printed dice, with the little cute faces over here. So each player takes one cat with the corresponding token. For example, let's say I take this one. So with the corresponding tokens, these are distributed to the other players. We can remove it from here, and then we assign also the corresponding cat this over here. So you take, for example, one of this. So I'm the orange cat. I take this one. You see here there's at the back more minimalistic, or you have the front to see the little cute face. And you see also at the four sides you have some icons. We will get back to later what this icon means. All right, so to set up the game, you give the player the 4 dice, the token, and the card, and then in the center you place this little board. Then you take the deck with the battler, and you see here at the back you see a carrot and you see a carton box. This deck is different from the battler deck, where you have all the box at the back is a golden. Also at the front you're gonna have some golden cards. So what you're gonna do, you're gonna take this deck and you're gonna shuffle it. After you shuffle, you place one card on the first 3 location over here. Okay, and then you take the other deck with the golden, and then you shuffle it, and then you draw one card and put it over here. And then on the side you gonna have this deck. You shuffle it and you have the deck, which is the fishbone. All the fish bones have a value of 1, so in this case you can keep it face up. We're gonna see later the advanced mode. Maybe you want to keep it face down for the advanced mode. Let's take a look at the anatomy of a card. So here we have this card. This card has the symbol at the bottom left, and then you have a color of a cat over here, and then on the top you have a number and a square in the center. This is sometimes is not always present. You see here in this card we don't have it. The other icons are always going to be present. So the icon here at the bottom left is for a set collection type of game. We're going to explain the scoring later. Here is the amount of points that this card is worth, and here is some restriction that this card forces to have in order to get this card. When these cards are placed here on the market, you see they are underneath specific combination, and that tells you what kind of roll you need to do to acquire this card. This tells you one of 4 different faces, these 2 pairs, these 3 pairs, and the 4th face or whatever you wanted. And here you have identical 4 faces of a die. When you have a square with exclamation mark, that tells you that you must have that face of the die. So in this case, you must have the heart among those 4 to get this card. In this case, you need to have the pause in order to have this card. Or you can have the square, the X in this case. It tells you that in order to have this card here, you need to have 4 of a kind, but cannot be blanks. They need to be something else. So let's try to make an example. I roll my dice. Here we go. Oh, that's very interesting. So I have 3 blanks and I have a tail. It would be nice if I could roll this and have another blank and have this 6 points, but unfortunately, you see here, I cannot win this card with these faces over here. So I guess at this point in time, the best things I could do is just grab this 2 points card. I have 3 plus a third one, 3 of a kind plus a 4th one like this one here. So I could take this one and put in front of my tableau like this, and this will be refilled. And then the games goes around, and then it's my turn. For example, I don't really like these cards. I have my token here, and I can flip it. If I flip it, I can clean up. I say I don't like these cards. I want new cards. I don't know why I want to do that right now, but you could do it. Okay, and then we need to get the golden one. Wow, fish. All right, so I'm gonna roll the dice again. I really want that fish, but I cannot have all these blanks. So I'm gonna keep this face and gonna reroll. Like, you can reroll as many dice as you want, but they have to be one less than the previous roll. So I roll 4. Now I can roll 3. So I reroll again. Oh, that was a very good roll. So I have 3 faces. Now I'm gonna try to get my 4th one. And I roll, 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 roll. Oh, I got a heart. Well, unfortunately, I cannot take that card. I don't have 4 of a kind, and I cannot take even this one because it tells me that I cannot have a face and have actually 3 faces. Well, I cannot win anything, so I will get a fishbone as consolation points. In this way, the game goes on. In a 2-3 player game, the game ends when all players have placed 6 cards in front of them. So if you have 6 cards over here, excluding the fish bones, so you have 6 cards. Or in a 4-player game, the game ends when all players have 5 cards placed in their personal space. So let's say this was a 4-player game, so I finished this. And by the way, if you get a fish bone and you have your token flip, you can flick it back in this way, and so you can do what I did before, so refresh the river. Okay, how the scoring goes. So you add up all the points on the top right of the cards, including the fish bones. Then you get 1 additional point per each icon that match your cat that you see over here. And here where I think the rules sometimes a little bit blurry, but there are good examples that whatever is not expressed very well in English, it can be understood with an example. So you see here, this my cat wants a house, wants a fish, wants a ribbon, and wants a car. So I have a car, I have a house, I have a ribbon, I have 2 fish. How many extra points do I get? I get 1 point for the car, 1 point for the house, 1 point for the ribbon, 1 point for the fish. Even if I have 2, you just gonna get 1 point per icon. So with a total of maximum point of 4. And then you get points based on the set collection. You can see here also is a reminder, if you have only one type, you get 0 points. If you have 2 different types, you get 1 point, 3 different types, 3 points, 5 different types, you get 5 points. So in this case, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 different types. So I would get 3 points. You add all the points, and who has the most point is the winner. If there is a tie, the player who received the most foot cards, so these are the foot cards. If that is also a tie, each player rolls the dice, and the first to roll a faces wins. I mean, I've never seen that happen before, but it can happen. All right, so this is the basic game. In the advanced mode, the setup is very similar. The river with the cards, the market is placed in the same way. The fish bones this time are face down because the fish have special powers, or they have special information that you want to keep secret. Then you provide an enthusiasm card to each player that looks like this, and you place the enthusiasm card, and then you place your marker token on the center here. You see that little ears? They fit so perfectly. Then you take also the conditions tokens that you can find here. They are all green, so exclamation marks that you can see over here. And then you are ready to begin. So how the adventure rules work. So you have the enthusiasm card. And before the trick phase, so before you roll your dice, you may spend enthusiasm to do one of the 3 following actions. When you spend enthusiasm, you just move backwards. And you can use once before the trick phase. And if you finish all your enthusiasm, you remove the token from the card. And then we're going to see later how you can get back to enthusiasm. So here on the left, you can add a condition to a card, except to the card place on the first slot. So here you cannot place any of this green token. You can place it, for example, here. For example, this one here. In this case, now you are adding one more condition to the card in order to be taken. One rule for the condition token that cannot be conflict. So in this case, it says you cannot have heart. In this case, it says you can have heart. There cannot be conflict. Why you want to do that? Well, you can make more difficult for our opponents, or you want to make it more difficult for yourself, because for each of these tokens that you collect with the card, you're gonna get extra 2 victory points at the end of the game. Then you can spend enthusiasm to set a face of your die. So if you really want a tail, for example, you can take this die and set to a tail, and then you roll the other 3. And finally, over here, you have this that allows you to swap one card. Say, for example, I don't really like this one. You can remove it and replace it with another one. So this is what you can do with enthusiasm. How do you get enthusiasm? Well, when you get a fishbone, you see there is a new icon that we have not discussed here. This is the little flame that it tells you increase your enthusiasm by 1. So for example, if your enthusiasm was to 0, you can add 1. And you can see that, for example, other cards give you more enthusiasm. There are 2, 1. So that's why you want to keep the fishbones face down, because you don't want to give extra information on the type of enthusiasm that you can get. And so at the end of the game, what you're going to do is sum up the points that we discussed before, plus 2 points per each of these condition tokens that you have collected. And this is how you play Meow Meow Dice. As you see, Meow Meow Dice is a lovely, lovely game. I really like how it looks. I'm a cat guy. I like dogs, but cat I found it very amusing, and it's the type of personality that I enjoy. And I like the dice, they're very cute. I like the cards that are also very cute. Besides the aesthetics, also a big shout out to the publisher that has decided to go towards a family type of games, first of all, and also the footprint. It's a very tiny box with a lot of game. If you already seen it from the preview, there's a lot of game in here. And so I really like this kind of marketing or this type of business ideas. We have grandiose games all over Kickstarter, but there are some publishers that want to go small, but not small for the sake of being small, but because they want to be compact and distill everything you need in a minimal amount of space and components. And I really enjoy that. This is the type of game that I can put in my backpack and bring anywhere. And that's actually a pretty good idea, the top 10 games that you can bring in a backpack. We'll see later in the videos. But anyway, let's see what I think about this game. We have 2 modes. We have the basic mode and we have the advanced mode. The basic mode is really basic. It's an excellent way to introduce everyone to that kind of games that we call a Yahtzee style. You roll some dice, you try to make a combo with the face of the dice that you have, and you have some rolling to try to mitigate. In this case, the mitigation is very interesting. You can roll as many dice as you want, but you always have to roll 1 less of them. So you have 4 rolls at most, and the decision there is very interesting. Which die am I gonna save? Which die I'm gonna re-roll? Should I go or shoot for the moon? Sometimes it's really appealing depending on the cards that you have. And then you get the sets and you have some limitations. Sometimes the cards tells you cannot have tails in your set. You cannot have the belly in your 4 of a kind, whatever. That's very straightforward. And if you don't get anything, you still get a fishbone, which is huge in the sense that it's very deflating when you don't get anything. Although in the basic version of the fishbone is, let's say, that's worth nothing, right? Eventually someone will get some fishbones, so sort of very slim reward. But in advanced mode, the fishbone has an excellent twist. Sometimes you really want the fishbone to bump up the track and have some special ability. I would say that my negative for these games is perhaps the 2 different modes in terms of one is very basic and the other one I found a little bit too sophisticated for people that they never experience anything or they are for the first time entering the hobby. So it could be a little bit overwhelming, and also I found the rules need to some rework, at least the English translation. I found it not too straightforward, but not too difficult. I'm just saying I have to read it multiple times to understand what they meant. Also, I think how they are presented, the layout and the order of the rules could be a little bit better presented. But this is nothing, major. I learned the game from the rules and have no question after reading it. And it's just I put more effort in understanding the advanced mode in the way it was laid out compared to the normal version. Overall, this is a game that I can keep in my collection. I can teach to anyone that has never played many games or are familiar with Yahtzee. I gotta play Yahtzee with a very cute team and with something I've never seen it before, dice that have a cat face. And if I want to bump up a little bit the game, I want to make it a little bit more interesting, I can add the experience version. And or if you really like this game, you play many times, you have an advanced mode that definitely spice up the game and it makes definitely the game more interesting. This is the game I want to play, but I'm happy to introduce this style of game with a basic one. And so if you are interested into this game, don't forget to check the link in the description where you can purchase this copy, and don't forget to subscribe, share with your friends. You know the drill. This is not your first YouTube video, am I right? Thank you very much and see you next time.